It is so good to see so many of you here in person for the first time in a long time. All of you BSV entrepreneurs, developers, ecosystem leaders, and many of you who are probably here learning about the BSV blockchain for the first time. This is our first major event in the 2 years since the COVID-19 pandemic shook the world, where I'm seeing so many of you in person. And it really asks us to pose a question as we embark on this 3-day journey to build the power of BSV blockchain. It's a question I've asked a lot over the past couple of years of the pandemic. What kind of world do we want to be in? And for that type of advice, it's the thing I often look to people who are wise with age, so people such as my parents, to give us guidance. For those of you who attended or watched our last global conference in New York, you'll remember I told you the story about my parents and their long amount of time together. Married 59 years ago in our home country where I was born, of Vietnam, moving to the United States, and then having a marriage that lasted a long, long time, so long that when we attended a family wedding in Southern California last year, they actually got up and danced at the wedding reception with this game to see who could be the last couple standing as the longest married. Well, my parents, who definitely do not like to dance, ended up being the last couple standing at 59 years of marriage. That is a long time. And in a few months, that number will turn to 60. 6 decades of time together. 6 decades, actually, of a life built in 2 worlds. Because you see, they really understand the power of the question, what kind of world do you want? Because they had to create lives for themselves in 2 different worlds. First, a life built in Vietnam with this family, including me as a little baby, but then having to do it all over again and thinking about what kind of life they wanted in a new world, when after Saigon was going to fall in April of 1975, being taken out of the country by the US government and resettled to a new life in Southern California, where I grew up, and where they had to live in a new country, with a new environment, a new language, new challenges, but also, as they told me and my siblings as young children, new potential, a new chance, new opportunity. What are we going to do with that? What kind of life and world do we want? Those are questions I have used to guide my own professional life, from being a lawyer at the height of the dot-com boom in the 1990s for 2 decades, and then getting into the blockchain industry. And these are questions I want you to ask over the next 3 days. What kind of industry, what kind of world do we want with digital assets and blockchain? Well, as I dove into the industry a number of years ago, I found that the world that we were creating and seeing with cryptocurrency and digital assets is not the world I wanted to see. We were seeing a world with too many coins now. So many coins you don't even know what they mean, what they do, what they're used for. So many coins that when you go on coinmarketcap.com now and try to get to the end of the list, there's over 10,000 cryptocurrencies, and you need 100 clicks to get to the very end of the list. We're seeing a world in digital assets now where we can have a supposed stable coin on an algorithm crash because its algorithm is gained, bringing down the entire marketplace of cryptocurrency because of what happened with Terra and Luna recently. We're seeing a world where blockchain, digital assets, because they're not really used for anything productive, are being associated with an early connection to crime, darkness, illicit activity. Well, that's not the world I entered the blockchain world to do and build. And it's not the world I think any of you here today or here in the UAE and the Middle East want to see either. We are here today to help start the conversation here at a higher level of how to build a world of blockchain that is better. And that starts by going back to the beginning, to what birthed this industry, the creation of Bitcoin. But not the Bitcoin you think about, BTC, which is really not Bitcoin anymore, but the Satoshi Vision, BSV, which means using Bitcoin's original protocol, letting it massively scale to unlock its potential, to be peer-to-peer electronic cash, not just a speculative investment asset, and more, a distributed data infrastructure that has more than you thought Bitcoin could ever do, and therefore to make blockchain actually useful for everyone. Imagine that, making blockchain useful. This is the kind of advice my parents would give us as children. Unlock your potential. Be useful. Do something good. So, I want to spend a few minutes today as we open this convention to explain to you what is this world I want to see us create. A world of Satoshi Vision. What does that mean? It's a world that also enables efficiency and a world of honesty, therefore leading to a world of good. To understand this, let's start back at the beginning. What was Bitcoin and blockchain, this whole industry, created to do? What was created to address a problem, an issue that Internet Protocol did not solve when it was unleashed to the world, creating the powerful data network we use today. Because there's an error code that when you go on websites, you don't see today. You see error codes if you hit a website and something's wrong, but you'll never see error code 402, meaning payments required to access that website or the service online that you're trying to reach. But the designers of HTTP protocol put that in, believing that there was going to be development of systems that allowed the payment from peer to peer between people or users without the need for an intermediary to send digital cash, even micropayments. Sound familiar? Well, that's exactly why Bitcoin was birthed, to solve the fact that the Internet Protocol system did not have a native way to send payments between devices. And that's exactly what Satoshi Nakamoto, Craig Wright, posted when he had this paper that became famous for the world beginning in 2008. Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system that created more efficient means to send payments directly from person to person without the need for an intermediary like PayPal or credit card payment processors, which add time and costs, and therefore to efficiently send payments between internet devices. That's what Bitcoin and this entire industry was birthed to do. In fact, it wasn't even birthed with the name blockchain. To solve the problem of how do I send electronic cash payments from me to you and do it in a way where there's no one in charge in the middle. How do you solve the problem of the possibility I double spend an amount of money, I double spend a coin by sending the same amount to one person, like my friend Renee here in the front row, to another person somewhere else? And Satoshi solved that by using not the word blockchain, but a distributed timestamp server, to create a system where we timestamp events in history, the sending of one coin to another, or data, the sending and recording of the selling of a vehicle, a piece of property from one person to another, timestamped by date and time, and then publishing it in a distributed manner for the world to see and verify, and using not one person in the middle to process and validate the transactions where they can control the information and potentially cheat, but by many. And by having many participants, nodes, participate in the updating of this ledger, and by publishing the transaction history of timestamps by date and time across for the world to see, it breeds honesty because there's a transparency to the information. But Bitcoin was always capable of more than just electronic cash payments. And Satoshi said so himself. If you look back at early Satoshi writings, Satoshi previewed that you could even use Bitcoin for pay-to-send email, inserting into the send dialog, resizing it in a transaction, an email message, and attaching that data to the payment of a Bitcoin transaction so that you could entice someone to read your email sooner, attaching data and monetary value. He also foresaw transaction types such as escrow, bonded contracts, third-party arbitration, and multi-party signature. The point is, Bitcoin's design for blockchain was always capable of powerful data usage. People don't think about that because what happened with the BTC network rendered it ineffective for virtually anything. But we are here today to educate you, and over the next couple of days, about the power of fusing data, bit, and coin money together, and the power of the Bitcoin network at scale with BSV to merge with the internet to attach monetary value to data and to do more. So if there's one thing you leave this convention understanding, is that Bitcoin in the form of BSV is more than a speculative investment asset, which is why people are often afraid of BTC out there. It's a distributed ledger and a blockchain. It has a programming language called script built into its system to allow for tokens, smart contracts, and computation. It's an entire data network like the internet, and therefore it has a rule set, a network protocol just like TCP/IP governs internet protocol. Think of Bitcoin as an entire data system that will change the world for good. To accomplish this much bigger mission and purpose for what Satoshi designed Bitcoin to do, you need a world of scaling. That's not what has happened on BTC and why we don't see it useful. Any of you out there who actually own BTC or know friends who own it, they probably don't use it for daily payments the way it was meant to do because the network is too congested and small. The protocol developers who took control of BTC restricted its capacity to a tiny block size of 1 megabyte in size, meaning the entire global network only does 3 to 7 transactions for everyone across the world per second. That is nowhere near the capacity needed to rival the legacy payment systems such as Visa and MasterCard, which do 2 to sometimes 50 to 60,000 transactions a second. This is not what Bitcoin and its blockchain were created to do. So the answer is to do what my parents would tell you to do in life. Unlock your potential. Do not put limits on what you can do. And that is what BSV's team has done. Created the opportunity for unbounded scaling, so our developers are not telling the world what is the block or transaction capacity. It should grow to market forces. And with enterprise-class software we unveiled last year in Zurich with live testing at our event there, we demonstrated the ability to get to 50 or 100,000 transactions per second already. But we want to go more, bigger, just like the internet data capacity grew from early days where it took an hour to download an MP3 music file, to today, where someone's probably high-def streaming this presentation to the world through a mobile phone, because data capacity scaled and grew and created a world of good. And we've scaled so much that, unlike the BTC network, which remains at its tiny little bit 1 megabyte block size, our network is now at a capacity of 4 gigabytes per block of data. That's 4,000 plus megabytes, 4,000 times the capacity of the BTC network, hitting world record blocks earlier this year that keep pushing those boundaries, the biggest one on April 10th of this year with 4 gigabytes and 2.4 million individual Bitcoin transactions in that single block. There's a reason this is important. It's not just because we like a lot of data and block size. It's because of Satoshi's original design. If Satoshi intended the Bitcoin network to remain at a tiny 1 megabyte block added every 10 minutes of data, why did Satoshi put into the original Bitcoin protocol and design an opcode, op push data 4, one of the technical components in the script language of Bitcoin, which allows a person to push in a single Bitcoin transaction a file of up to 4.3 gigabytes of data. Over 4,000 megabytes in one single Bitcoin transaction. Why would that be there if the whole block of transactions collected every 10 minutes is only 1 megabyte, when he intended to be able to put that much data into a single transaction? And the answer is, Bitcoin was designed to do so much more good, carrying a lot more powerful data applications. The other practical impact of this scaling journey is that it's necessary to create blockchain systems for the world that do good, to actually make it useful at inexpensive fees, so everyone can use it, not just wealthy people. The BTC network, because its capacity is so small, it's congested, and the cost to send a transaction from me, the sender, to you, which gets earned by the miners or validators on the network, is very both high and unreliable. As this chart shows, over the past year on BTC, the fee has ranged from about 70 US cents to sometimes over 30 US dollars, which is why no one's using the BTC network to pay for anything on a regular basis. It's certainly not what you can do massive data applications at. And the Ethereum network, which we thought for a while might be the competing business blockchain, has even a worse problem. Their gas fees are very high and even more unreliable, hitting from about $3.80 last June to almost 70 US dollars in May of 2021. And I just checked the other day, it was about 24 US dollars to send an Ethereum transaction. Way too high, especially for those of you who are minting NFTs these days, which a lot of people are doing. If you're doing it on one of the marketplaces like OpenSea that use Ethereum, you're finding it costs 80 or 100 US dollars to mint a single NFT of a piece of digital art or content. If you're a new artist, if you're a charity and want to mint not one, but hundreds, thousands of NFTs, This is not economically sustainable. So we create problems for our network. Here are some headlines that have hit the crypto news over the last month. When the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which has captured so much attention and lots of Ethereum fees, tried to release a new set of NFTs to be minted on Ethereum, it crashed the network. The whole network stalled. And in fact, people paid thousands of dollars in Ethereum gas fees to try and mint one of these new NFTs, and still did not even get any for some of them. And Solana, which is going for the big scaling, low-fee vision, has had problems with DDoS attacks by bots 7 times over the past months, which has caused the entire network to stop. Imagine one day if the internet just stopped because there was too much traffic on it. That is not sustainable. And we here in the BSV ecosystem often don't agree with Vitalik Buterin, co-founder of Ethereum, but this quote from him in 2014 is something I agree with at least partly, which is that the Internet of Money should not cost 5 cents per transaction. It's kind of absurd. He was saying that's too high for Bitcoin. I agree, except that number we think should be a lot lower than he's saying 5 cents, which is why on BSV, because of our massive scale, the transaction fee to send a payment to anyone across the world of any amount right now is about 1/100th to 1/20th of a US cent. 1/100th to 1/20th of a US cent. Almost free. The way Satoshi designed the solution to the internet having a native way to send payments, but we think that's still too high. We think that number needs to go down to about 1/1000th of a US cent with even more scaling to fulfill what Satoshi actually wrote in the white paper, which people don't read. The ability not to send huge amounts of money through Bitcoin's blockchain, but small, casual transactions over the internet, so that we can have systems that work like this. Handcash is one of the top mobile wallets in the BSV ecosystem. You'll hear from their founders on this stage this week, where you can send any money to me through BSV, but even small amounts. This is a snapshot of actually my wallet recently, where people across the BSV world, I guess because they like me, send me small amounts of money. 1 penny. Some people sent me 1/4 of a US penny, just to be nice, but also to show the power of micropayments, because you can create business models where you're able to send even 1/4 of a US penny efficiently because the transaction fee is so low. Why would we do this? Well, let me now talk about the ways all of this creates a better world for us. It creates the ability with new ways to earn money. Handcash's wallet connects to an array of apps being built on BSV. You'll hear from many of them this week, where you can play games, engage in social media, and do activities where you're spending little amounts of BSV, but where you can also earn. You can create systems such as one of the winners of our hackathons over the past few years from an Australian team called Coda, which gives us developers who often write software code, offer it for free to the public through repositories such as GitHub, but don't make any money. Well, instead, they can upload the code to this API marketplace. And anytime someone uses the code and does an API pull in their bigger project or software application, they'll get paid small amounts of BSV for each and every API pull. You'll hear about how music can allow new forms of earning and distribution with the BSV blockchain from 3 different companies that will be on the stage: Blaircast, Jamify, and Soundoshi, using the blockchain to actually put digital music files on a blockchain for the public to access and for people to pay the artists immediately small amounts of BSV every time there's a stream or download of the product. Games create new ways not just to earn, but to play to earn, which is very popular in the esports world and gaming world these days. CryptoFights, a top company in the BSV world who generates a lot of our transaction volume, will be here to talk about their battle game, a skill game like Dungeons and Dragons, where you battle with your avatars, you roll dice for battles, and you can actually earn games. They use the blockchain for both data as well as micropayment capability. Haste Arcade is reinventing how you would play arcade games online, where instead of just paying 1/4 to play a game, getting on the leaderboard and not getting anything for it, you could actually earn small amounts of money from every player who comes after you who does not beat your score. A new way to earn. From Pakistan, you'll hear from the CEO and founder of GameStorm Studios, a new entrant into the BSV world, and a major one. This is one of the leading game studios in Pakistan, with an office also here in Dubai, that has published over 1,000 mobile games on the major app stores with 1 million downloads. They're already doing blockchain and farming games and monster truck NFT games. You'll hear about what they're going to be launching with BSV to create what I like to call an earn and use economy. Not a system where people go buy coins on an exchange and park them and don't do anything with them, but a world where we actually use the blockchain and digital assets in a way where you can earn and use them in daily life. This will lead to a world of financial inclusion for companies like Sentby from South Africa, with a wallet that allows people to pay for their utilities in South Africa and other countries, as well as pay for all kinds of merchants. They have a remittance product, which is very important for people who need to be able to send money back to their family and friends in other countries, and not pay 6, 8, 10% to remittance companies. They use the efficient ledger of BSV to allow anyone to send any amount of money for a flat fee, 50 South African rand, about $3 US, almost 12 AED, to 8 African country quarters and expanding. This is a critical power to improve financial inclusion in developing regions. You'll hear from the founder and CEO of Monetex, a company using the BSV blockchain to power micro-lending and better digital lending in East Africa, including Uganda. So people who cannot get a bank loan to start a business can, in fact, raise money from their community in small amounts. We can create a world with a better internet, which is what Bitcoin was birthed to do in the first place, by getting past the current cycle of having ad and subscription-based internet models, where your services like Facebook are free, but you pay essentially with the selling of your data. What if we change the internet, where instead of paying a monthly subscription to a digital newspaper, you paid a few cents for every article you actually read taken from your Bitcoin wallet? What if you paid for every minute of the YouTube video you watched instead of sitting through advertisements? What if you had to pay for every Google internet search you did, a few cents, but you get better quality results because there are no sponsored ad links? That's the kind of better world we think is possible with BSV blockchain at scale. What if we had a world where your identity information is not kept by many different social media apps, but lived in one place on the blockchain that you control with your cryptographic keys, and all of those applications access your data that they pay you for in small BSV micropayments at your authorization? What if we had a world that's better because you have more control and sovereignty over your data and record keeping, such as VX Technologies will tell you with their system using BSV to track COVID vaccination records, time-stamped for accuracy, as well as other verified health records that you could actually authorize people to see and share? What if we had a better world of tokenization, which is so critical to the blockchain world? People love NFTs, and there's lots of them on BSV, from galactic mice that will turn into a battle game, dog collectibles, Duro dogs, contemporary art on Bullish Art NFT. But what if you could do this at scale so it was efficient and not elitist, to have to spend thousands of US dollars to buy an ape to become part of some club? What if companies like Nifty Jigs in the United States were able to mint 175,000 NFTs last year, which they did, on Ethereum that would have cost them probably 10 million US dollars. On BSV, it cost them about $175. Not free, but opening up so much potential to do good with NFTs at massive scale. So good, in fact, that we, through our association, have just launched a new demo on our bsv.com site at bitcoinsv.com, where we'll allow you to test it out, mint an NFT free for yourself. It's free because we'll pay for it, because you know what? It barely costs us anything. It's so inexpensive. Check it out and try to make your first NFT. What if we had a day where NFTs could be used for more than just art, but actually advance really good social causes, like Fabric X doing a whole World Ocean Day themed NFT collection? What if we had a world where blockchain could survive the scaling problems to power real smart contracts? Tokenize, a platform you'll hear from at this conference, has a sophisticated online platform to make it easy to create smart contracts and tokens of sophisticated financial instruments, such as bonds, stock, and other things. And a high-level smart contract language called Scrypt BSV's answer to Solidity on Ethereum, making it easier for developers to actually write smart contracts. A blockchain with a public ledger can also provide honesty, a world of verifiability and traceability. You'll hear nChain's story with its new partner Ultimus in the business process management world, using nChain's Kensei data integrity platform to make the business process data of these clients even more verifiable and accessible. Unisat is the company from Norway people associate with food industry supply chain tracking on our blockchain. But you'll hear from two of their partners, Equinordic, that's using the blockchain system for art, and Local to Local for organic and local farming and improving the tracking of sustainable products. And even bioactive natural compounds will get benefits from more data verifiability of their testing using the BSV blockchain, as you'll hear. Invoices, which are a pain of our life, tracking when people got an invoice, when it's paid, can be improved in real time from the head of our BSV hub here in the Middle East, Mohammed Salman Anjum, and his company InvoiceMate, which uses a public ledger to give people the ability to see the journey of an invoice in real time and speed up its payment. And even using that kind of system to improve government processes, which Mohammed's company is doing with the Sindh Police Department in Pakistan to create timestamp verifiable data points to see how much ammunition is in stock in a police department, how many guns are in at a given time, because it's important to track that and give public trust. Dominium, a company from founders in Nigeria and the United Kingdom, are here to give you an update about their systems to use the blockchain for things like improved cargo tracking by governments, improving the process to collect customs tax. We also want to see a world of sustainability, where even miners, the blockchain transaction processors, who often get a bad rap unfairly because of environmental issues, are actually creating innovation to use the heat from Bitcoin mining rigs to actually replace diesel-powered heating to create more energy efficiency, which Tal is doing with a Swiss engineering company called K51. This will also lead to a world that is connected, because with more data, we can advance environmental sustainability goals. You'll get an update from Predict Ecology, an environmental consulting firm out of Australia, which has been working with the BSV blockchain to send data from trees in a city in Australia to the blockchain to track environmental information related to those trees and help use that data to advance environmental sustainability goals. They're working with the founder of MetaStream, who's also here from Australia, which has developed a whole infrastructure, a Bitcoin transaction engine, to send huge volumes of data from IoT devices to the blockchain so that we can all verify it and create data marketplaces from all these connected devices that are emerging in our world. And this is where IPv6 becomes important. You heard about it in Calvin's opening. IPv4, the current iteration of Internet Protocol that is widely used, has run out of unique IP addresses. So IPv6, another iteration, introduces far more, 64-bit addresses, to generate 10 quintillion unique addresses in the world. Enough unique IP addresses, not just for every person, but every device, every animal, every plant, perhaps even every grain of sand in the world. Why do we want this? Well, the world is getting more connected, where every device around us, our phones, our clothing, our refrigerators at home, our vehicles, the doors in this hotel can be connected to data and send micropayments for validating, for example, access to an airport, entry into this hotel. And to do that, we need an IP protocol that can sustain that type of activity. And IPv6, therefore, works very well integrated with the BSV blockchain, which can hold that kind of data power. And this gets back to why Op-Push Data 4 is so important, because IPv6, in addition to generating many more unique addresses, also allows the pushing through Internet Protocol of jumbo packets of data, of guess what? About 4 gigabytes of data, which is also the amount of data that can be pushed through the original Bitcoin protocol through Op-Push Data 4. And also where our block capacity is and growing. And that's why we've begun a journey with Latif Ladid, the chair of the IPv6 Forum you'll hear from, to explain to the world through events like this, the combined power of IPv6 and BSV. This world that will be connected will also be immersive, the metaverse. You'll hear from the founder of Transmira, an AR/VR metaverse company creating digital scans of entire cities, digital twins of this, Los Angeles, so that one day our avatars will be engaging in these virtual halls, stadiums, hospitals, educational facilities, to learn, to enjoy entertainment, to actually do electronic commerce. And we want this world to be more digitally secure. So you'll hear a presentation from CertaHash, a company in the United States, about their new partnership with IBM Consulting to create Sentinel Node, a new system using the BSV blockchain to improve digital cybersecurity. To accomplish all this is a lot, and that's why we're also pushing a world of knowledge, educating this region and the world about blockchain's power. We're proud to be a blockchain knowledge partner and the partner for the United Arab Emirates Ministry of Human Resources and Meritization, where last year our team helped educate through in-person and online training hundreds of that ministry's executives about the power of blockchain. In Pakistan, we've worked with the University of Karachi to develop a developer education program for their top computer science students. You'll hear later today from one of our key allies and a key force here in the UAE blockchain world, Dr. Mohammed Al-Hamari, who is at the University of Sharjah and is working with us on an R&D project to do something good, track academic credentials and professional certifications on the blockchain to prevent fraud and encourage honesty. We're also proud to be working with Pakistan. We've taken a couple trips there, including recently to Islamabad last week, where we've signed an MOU with the Presidential Initiative for AI and Computing and the Pakistan Freelancers Association to bring BSV blockchain education and entrepreneurial growth to that country of over 200 million people with impressive tech talent. And earlier this year, after a trip to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we signed an MOU with the Ministry of Communications and IT and the Saudi Digital Academy to create that kingdom's first ever blockchain academy focused on BSV. And it's a kingdom that needs a blockchain that can handle scale at big potential for low fees and fast speed. To do all of these things that I know my parents would encourage us to do with whatever we're doing. Have unlimited potential in your mind. Whatever you do, be useful and make it something for which you are doing good. Those are the lessons that I was given as a child. They're the lessons and questions I would ask you to pose over the next few days and throughout the course of your own professional journey with blockchain. Those are questions and principles that have guided my family from this life in Vietnam to a life in the United States, a different world, where they got the chance to start again, expand a family to one that includes now 3 grandchildren, my nephews and niece, for which I am passing down this same type of advice. They have an even better chance than I had to embrace their potential in a new country. So my parents really understand this question of, okay, if you have a new chance, a new opportunity, what world do you want to create? We have that opportunity now with Bitcoin and blockchain to recreate what should have been created with the internet, efficient payments, but also a second chance to save the Satoshi Vision of Bitcoin, to make blockchain and Bitcoin actually useful in the form of BSV, not speculation. So, I pose to you the question my parents would ask you. What kind of world do you want? Do you want a world of just investment speculation? A world selling digital assets that are mostly useless. A world with technology that does not scale, with fees so inefficient that the systems are just not useful. A world that operates outside the law, a world of darkness. That is not the world I want to see. I want to see a world where blockchain is actually useful. A world of peer-to-peer transactions, a world of micropayments, a world of digital cash, a world where you can actually monetize your own consumer data, but a world that only moves with massive scale to move us forward, a world that empowers every person in every country, to allow them to trade in the global marketplace, to enjoy financial inclusion, to pursue new jobs, new careers, to fulfill their potential, to control their own identity, a world more digitally secure, a world where communities, cities, and nations are smarter, more automated, more connected, a world that builds structures that dream of the future. A world of sustainability. A world of honesty. A world of transparency. A world of data integrity. A world of traceability. A world of new relationships, new business, new visions of who we are. A world of innovation, a world of wonder, a world of light, a world of good.
Bitcoin mining, Bitcoin wallet, blockchain, stablecoins, MetaNet, the evolution of money. Everybody is talking about Bitcoin today, but what exactly is it? Learn the basics from experts. Learn what Bitcoin is, how it works, and why it matters. Bitcoin 101, your ultimate guide to the fundamentals of blockchain.